Hey y'all, I'm Jen Leah, and this is my brand new podcast bringing you real life stories from up and coming female artists of all genres. If you want more than the mainstream, you come to the right place. This is Women in Stereo. Hey y'all, I'm Jen Leah. Welcome to episode 2 of the Women in Stereo podcast. I have some cool stuff for you today. I'm not going to do a huge intro because I have two really awesome guests and I just want to kind of dive in and get into it. The first of which will be introduced as part of a new segment to my podcast, which will be aimed at giving tips and tricks to artists from music industry leaders such as A&R, managers, record label heads who have invaluable information to share with y'all. And I know a large part of my following is like musicians and artists, so I know it's going to be really cool. My second guest is this amazing lady named B.ankha that I'd love for everybody to get to know. She is a hip-hop / R&B / whatever she wants to be artist out of the Bronx, New York. She's really sweet and genuine. I really loved our conversation. You'll get to know her. You'll get to know about her music. We also touch on some important topics like Black Lives Matter, quarantine, of course, and how artists are being treated in the record label industry in 2020. So let's get started. First up is a good friend of mine, Geisinger. He is a professional tour manager. He has worked for Live Nation as a logistics representative. He has been on huge tours such as Rihanna and Ali and AJ, and he is also the CEO and founder of A12 Industries. He's going to share some tips for us about how to prepare for a tour, how to budget for a tour, which is going to be great for like a smaller band who's just getting into the business of touring, or maybe even a mid-level band or a bigger band who want to brush up on some tips. I know touring is at a screeching halt right now, but they say it could be back. Live shows could be back as soon as October. Here's hoping, as long as we can do it in a safe way. So planning ahead is definitely good, and it's something that you can definitely start doing as early as now. I know a lot of you are just itching and dying to get back out there, and I'm dying to watch y'all out there. So hopefully this information reaches you, and hopefully it is helpful. So here's Jason. Take it away.
Hi everyone, this is Jason Geisinger. I'm the president of A12 Industries based here in Washington, D.C., and I am a professional tour manager and concert producer. My good friend Jen over at Women in Stereo asked me to come on and talk to you guys about how to kind of go through the touring process and start your touring business, maybe give you a couple of tips or how to make it run a little more efficiently, along with what I do for my job. And we'll start with that. So, as mentioned, I'm a professional tour manager, and what that means, and I guess the best way to explain it, an analogy, is I am the captain of a ship, and it's my job and I oversee the tour to make sure it goes from city to city safely, efficiently, in a cost-effective way, and we are making the fans really happy by giving them a great show. I wear a lot of hats in my position. I'm an accountant. I'm the one who does all the budgets. I'm the one who handles the money. I settle the shows at the end of the night. I make the deposits. I talk with the business manager. I am the travel agent. I'm the one who books all the hotels. I'm probably chartering the buses, chartering the planes if needed, or vans, or any type of kind of transportation or hotel or lodging that might be necessary. Okay, so I guess the best way to start this out, if you're watching this, the way we'll do this is that you're an artist and you've never toured before or have done very limited touring, and you're looking how to kind of start up and get your business going. And so we'll start with that end of the spectrum, and we'll go from there. This could be the most daunting, which is pre-production. This could be the most daunting and overwhelming task to do. So basically your first step is, well, obviously you've had this idea. Okay, maybe you've come out with an album, an EP, whatever it is, or you just want to go and do some shows. You've decided that you're going to go on the road. So what's the first thing you do? Well, the first thing you do is you make a budget, because obviously money is what makes the world go round. This is a business, and first of all, don't ever fool yourself into thinking that this isn't a business, because that will hurt you and bring you much disappointment later on. So the first thing you got to do is kind of think about your budget for this thing. And the first step is, assuming you don't have an agent, you got to kind of picture in your mind how you want your tour to be routed, which means literally what's the order of shows or the cities and markets you're going to hit. My suggestion is, if you're touring with, let's say, you and a band or in a van, and you're doing the driving, or you have some friends coming with you to help you out, I would make sure that you pick your venues and your cities that are probably no more than 250 miles apart on back-to-back shows, and definitely no more than 500 or 600 miles apart if you have a travel day. The last thing you want to do is not make a show because you just weren't actually able to get there. Or even worse, you don't want to be drain yourself, which could endanger your safety. And then if you show up at a show tired, you can put on a crappy performance, and no one wants that. So that's the first step, is kind of mapping this whole thing out. So let's say you've mapped it out. You have your dream tour of your 12 markets or 20 markets, whatever it may be. The next step to do is to figure out the actual mileage you think you're going to be driving. Now, remember, this is just a kind of a first draft, so this will change and evolve along the way on as you keep working on this. So I just do something really simple to start, which is first of all, spreadsheets are going to be your best friend, and this is where the not so glamorous part of touring is. This is literally office work and administrative work. So you're going to start, and you're going to have a spreadsheet. It's going to list all those cities you want. And then usually what I do next to it is I put the mileage from city to city in the next column over. And assuming you're not going to start your tour in your home city, maybe you will. So that first one will be what's called deadhead, which is the drive that you need to get to your first show. Normally that's a bus term. That's what it's called. Like when the bus comes from when it comes from the yard, usually Nashville or in Phoenix or wherever it is, that's the distance. That's what's the distance from that to your first show is called the deadhead, where you're gonna meet the bus. In this case, we're gonna consider it to be for your hometown to your first show, and just you. That will be what's called your deadhead drive. So you want to count that in, and then you just want to go down through the cities. And you can do this without knowing your venues yet, and just go through Google Maps and map the whole thing out. And it's pretty good on giving you the basic mileage for what you'll be doing. So let's say, just to pick a number, your tour ends up being 10,000 miles, which surprisingly is easy. You're like, oh, well, the U.S. is 2,500 miles across. How can I go 10,000 miles? Because when you're in a tour, the tour routes either usually end up in a circle, which right there alone, could be close to 5,000 miles. But a lot of tours do this across the U.S. You go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think the max mileage-wise I've done on a tour is close to actually 70,000 miles. I'm sure I've maybe done more, but that's what I can think of right now. But you're going to take that mileage, you're going to total up that final number, and then what you're going to do next is you're going to make a decision on what your appropriate touring vehicle is going to be. And this could be a little tough because you may not know exactly how many people you're bringing with you, what equipment you're bringing with you. So basically what you want to do is kind of just imagine. For right now, you want to do like your dream tour. So let's say, okay, a realistic dream tour. So it's going to be you, and let's say you have a 3-piece band, so that's 4, and then you got your instruments. Maybe you'll have your friend come along as a merch person or a sound guy or whatever. So then what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, what do I fit in that? And you're probably going to be like a 16-passenger van will do the trick. So what you want to do is then look up, your 16-passenger van rental. What's it going to cost? And more important than that, that's pretty important, but something else that's equally as important is you want to see what kind of gas it takes, and how large and how many miles you can get off a said tank. Because what you're going to do is you're going to assume, let's just say you're filling up with regular gasoline. You need to get a fuel cost, and so you need to figure out what your fuel cost is per mile and how much total fuel you're going to need and what that's going to cost you. And that will give you kind of an idea of your basic transportation cost, which is usually one of the biggest costs on a tour, and that can keep someone on or off the road. If you're just looking to do a couple of shows and it's just you may even want to look for cheap flights. Sometimes, shockingly, that can be an answer. If you're just looking to do 5 shows in random places, sometimes you can get, a flight deal that will probably be cheaper and better than driving. So there's that. So let's say transportation is roughly done. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to decide how many people are on the road with you. Is it your band? Probably. So let's say there's 4 of you again. And then you're going to go to see, well, am I going to bring a merch person? Okay, I'm bringing a merch person. Maybe we'll probably use a house sound guy, unless you got a friend who can do the sound guy. Now let's assume that you and your band are just kind of doing this to make money with what you're bringing in. But your friend may not be. He may be like, look, I need $200 a week. Hopefully he's a good friend. Normally it would not be nearly that cheap. Or a sound guy is, I need $500. Again, that's entry level crew guys costing that, very entry level. But they're friends of yours. So you need to go, okay, you're going to give them that amount a week or per show. You need to add up their salaries. And do it by the week on how many weeks you intend to be out, to get a rough crew cost or salary cost. Are you going to give per diems? If you are, usually, on a tour that's this side, like on the low side, it might be $15 a day. Usually the average is $25 to $35 a day. But at this point, you may not even be giving per diems, which is, again, okay if that's what the situation kind of evolves into being. But you need to get those costs, and you need to count them in to what you're making, and to what you need to do to kind of get the idea cost of staffing. And then from there, once you have an idea about how many people you're going to have, a more closer number, you're going to go and you're going to start to say, okay, well, where are we going to stay? You're going to need to get hotels. So are you going to share rooms, or is everyone to get their own room? You're probably going to share. And honestly, if you're just going out, you're probably going to cram everybody in one room. But let's say you're putting 2 people to a room. You have 6 people, that's 3 rooms. What's your average spend per night on a hotel? $100 per room. Whatever it is, you can add that up X amount of dates. That will give you an idea for this. So you have that taken care of. You have your fuel. You have your transportation costs. You got to look for any other costs that may come up, because you got to think about, okay, that's great that I kind of can do this now. Well, that's great. I got my crew costs, my transportation, hotel. What else do I need? Well, there's other things like, do you need to rent gear? Or is there an instrument you don't own, or a sound system or a board that you need? That means you got to haul it with you, because it's not always going to be the case that a venue is going to have it. Again, at this point, the smaller you are, the less you're going to need, which is good. The more larger an act gets, the more that kind of that list grows. So, but you also have to think, and something I recommend doing is getting insurance for yourself. The last thing you want to do is be in a situation that probably won't happen, but you never can be too sure, where you are playing a gig and someone slips, or let's say you threw a water bottle out, or even if you accidentally dropped it and someone slips and they decide to sue you, you just want to make sure you're protected. So you want to get a general liability insurance. And that goes to another issue, or kind of brings up another topic, a bit of incorporating your band as an official business. You can do it as this is your touring leg, so maybe you can call it touring band LLC, whatever you want. You may have another account for your business, for your actual records and and whatever. But that's another safety layer to protect you from anybody when you're contracting to do a show going after you and your personal assets. If you are operating under an LLC, an agreement is between the club, venue, or whoever it is with the LLC, not you personally. Now, is that foolproof? No, but does it help? A lot. So I would do that and make sure you have an LLC or a company or a corporation, and make sure you're looking at getting general liability insurance. So there's costs for that. The next cost that could be is just, you want to put money aside for emergencies, medical emergencies, repairs to the touring vehicle, repairs to your instruments, miscellaneous costs. And the best way is to just go through an itemized list of what you think you'll need. I know I always budget in for medical costs. I always budget in for unforeseen repairs, extra fuel, just general things that you'll have to spend money on, tips, things like that. If you're doing a fly date, additional car rentals, additional rehearsal spaces, that's pretty much what you'll have in your budget. Then once you get done, this whole thing in its first draft is what a lot of us call either we call it the wake-up sheet or the wake-up call or the reality check, because on a level, if you're dealing with a manager who's really, they're like El Capitan of the whole operation, the president, so to make that analogy, they make the final decisions. We call it that because they say they want to go on tour, and this is the sheet that they'll see the first draft where they're like, this is the number, and you say, yep, and it's a reality check. They realize it's going to be more expensive than they definitely initially thought, and this is going to be more expensive than you initially thought. People don't realize how much it costs, and even just startup costs to go on the road. So definitely this is the beginning. Now, the good news is this will refine, but these are your target. You've given yourself target numbers for what you want to hit in terms of negotiating things that you may need. Just remember, the longer the tour, the more money it's going to cost. The more you have, the more complicated it is. So the more things can break. And it's just kind of the first draft. So, but you've given yourself a base. So after that, once you do that, you have that going. And the other thing that the cost in this sheet is going to give you is you can go ahead and divide this up by how many shows you're doing or plan on doing, and it will tell you what you need to make each show to make this all happen. So you will get your total number, you'll divide it by the amount of shows you have, whether or not that's, that could be 10, 12, whatever it is. You'll be able to know what you need to keep, make your nut back. So, so that's pretty much it at the beginning. Pre-tour, and for a basic thing. Again, as your career grows and you start playing bigger rooms and doing bigger shows, that's great. But just remember, things will get more complicated, more people get involved, more deal points come up. So this is a real basic if you wanted to just go out with your friends and do a run in a van. Your biggest cost, and the shocking one, is the transportation cost, probably followed by hotel and then salary. People kind of get, afraid when they see that, and it's a very intimidating number. But is it going to be that number? No. Your goal is to try and make it less than that number, but it will give you your baseline. And then also remember, there's other costs too that you may or may not have. But usually they're good kind of secondary income streams like merch. You can make a lot of money on merch. The average deal for that is usually 80-20, but in the kind of new norm, it might go down to 70-30, being you with the higher number, the venue taking the other part. But, making sure, you have merch. And one of those costs, you don't just, someone doesn't just ask for a shirt and then you just give it to them. That shirt costs something. And then when you're ordering a run of 100 of those shirts, and then 3 different sizes, that adds up. So you got to count that into a starting cost. So that's another miscellaneous cost to talk about. So, but yeah, that should give you a good start on if you're thinking about going on the road, where things will go from there. Um, you know, try and do all that. Try your best to stay to the number you've given yourself, but don't become wishy-washy and think that you can do it without cutting costs here or there. I mean, sometimes you can if it's a minor thing, but really the last thing you want is to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere, realizing you have no money, you're low on gas, and you can't make your shows. That is bad. Um, for several reasons. And it can happen a lot of places, and you can get really stuck and get into real trouble quick. So make sure you do this pre-production and your legwork before you even kind of start and go from there. But once you have this done, you can kind of go, and then you can contact the venues and this market you planned out, and refine things up. Maybe you'll be doing less shows, maybe you'll be doing more. Which will change the cost, but you'll get the idea. You have a baseline. So yeah, so that's cool. So in the next little segment of this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about hitting the road and some things you may encounter on the road and how to actually get the tour started and get it done. So great. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Those were some amazing tips. I hope you can come back and do part 2 for us after touring gets going. So my next guest is B.ankha. I'm going to jump right into it. I just wanted to check in with y'all and say hello before I do that. So here we go. All right, so the first thing that I like to ask people, because my site's all about introducing people to new artists and getting to know them, so who are you? What's your story?
So, first of all, my name is B.ankha. It's spelled B.ankha. It's a different kind of spelling. I'm 22 years old. I'm a singer-songwriter from the Bronx. I have music just about everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, everything. So you can just look me up and find me there anywhere. But I don't really box myself into like a genre. I really just I kind of dibble and dabble into different kind of things. So that's why I just label myself as a singer-songwriter. So I don't get boxed into like any kind of category. I kind of want to do it all.
Yeah, that's really cool. I noticed that. I was listening to your album today, and I first listened to it when I first featured you, like back when Women in Stereo first started. And it's really hard for me to continue listening to artists just because I'm always trying to discover new artists and I'm always listening to new albums. But the one thing I noticed is I kept coming back to yours and wanting to re-listen.
Thank you. Yeah.
So that album, which came out in I think 2018, it's called Life for people who don't know. But yeah, that was a few years ago. Do you have any plans to release another full length anytime soon?
I don't have a big body of work coming out soon because I kind of want to personally wait till I have a little bit more backing in order to push that the right marketing way that I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I have released singles. I've released a single called Bad Bitch that's out. Since that album, I've released actually a mini project during the beginning of the quarantine, which was about like 2 months ago. It's actually only available on Bandcamp. So I have the link. You can purchase that. Yeah,
What?
it's $5 for it, and there's 4 songs up there, and that's what I did during the quarantine. Recently I also dropped another single called Bad Habits, which is out everywhere. That's
Okay,
on
I
Apple
did hear that
Music,
one.
SoundCloud, yeah. Besides that, my next step, I'm most likely gonna continue with the singles until I feel like I've gotten to a place where I got the backing for a big project. So definitely coming out with a video. That's the next thing. That's the next
Mm-hmm.
big thing. And then after that, most likely pushing singles.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I did notice that you had released a single in 2020, so that's another reason I asked, like, if there's anything gonna build off that or, yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to bring up was this Instagram story that you had posted right before everything hit with quarantine, and you were talking to your manager, and he was kind of informing you that you were about to go on this big tour, and you were jumping up and down, and you were really excited. And I don't know why, but I always like remember that because it was right before basically everyone's tours got canceled and everything like that, and it just kind of like affected me. And yeah, so how was that?
Actually, yeah, I was super, super, super excited about that because it was a 20 city tour and it was a paid tour. My first tour, paid tour. So it was like literally everything I wanted at once. And it's like it just got taken from right under me. So as soon as the pandemic started, obviously things couldn't fall in place. So that was like really, really, really detrimental to me. Like that kind of, I mean, I didn't let it really kill my vibe, but it sucked because I was so ready to, like, all my music that I just put out, I was so ready. Like, I had my dancers, my glam team, like, I was ready to go. So it's kind of, it's disappointing, but I mean, it's what's gonna come with the game. You have ups and you have downs. So even though I had a good opportunity and it got taken away from me, I'm actually glad I got to get through that because then I knew I'm strong enough. Like, I could do this.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know, um, if it's like, when you're kind of manifesting your dreams and you're kind of waiting for like the big thing to happen, and then all of a sudden just something like crashes and burns, and like your house burns down or something, and you think, man, this is the end, this is like the end of the world. But then right after that, if you can get through it, then like you're hit with like all your dreams coming true. So yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that that's what this is for all of us.
Yeah, actually, some people that I talk to, like, about even the pandemic and being on quarantine, they kind of say like it benefited them. Like it was actually a good thing for them. Like they got time to themselves. They found a lot of people found new talents and stuff like that. Like a bunch of females are doing nails now, like eyelashes, like a bunch of hidden talents like they never knew they had before. For some people, it was good, like having the time to themselves, like finding themselves. Like sometimes a bad area is good for people because then they come out with a bigger and better self. So I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And like we were talking about before, I wasn't planning on doing this for women in stereo. This is just something that came out of quarantine, and I don't personally think that I'm very good at this. It's kind of like something that I had to really step out of my comfort zone, and I really had to step up to the plate to do this because I was gonna go to like live shows and show people around LA and like music around LA, but that really can't happen anymore. So I had to reformat and do something completely different.
Yeah,
That
but I
then.
mean, as long as you have the mindset that like something better will come eventually. I feel like it's gonna come your way. You just gotta stay positive. Like you can't let stuff like this like really get to you and break you down because it'll ruin you. It
Yeah,
really will ruin you.
I mean, there's definitely two mindsets that you can go into this with. You can just say, like, my life is destroyed, my year is destroyed, everything's on pause, everything sucks. Or you can take this time to kind of reevaluate, really readjust, learn some new talents like you were talking about, and in the end, hopefully, something bigger and better will come out of it.
Exactly. Mine is setback for a major comeback.
Yeah, and exactly circling back and circling back to your tour. Yeah, I mean, it may be on pause right now, but I know you're gonna come back stronger and better. You're probably gonna have more planning done, and yeah, I can't wait. I was telling DJ Hollywood, shout out to him who kind of introduced us. I can't wait to see you live.
I can't wait either. Shout out to DJ Hollywood, but I definitely can't wait either because that's my favorite part of being an artist is the performance side. So
Yeah.
every time somebody has a chance to see me live, I get really, really excited because like I finally feel like I get to showcase my talent. It's one thing hearing a song, but like seeing someone perform it is like
Oh, it's a way different experience. I love seeing people live, and it really makes it or breaks it for me because if they can get me tuned in to what they're doing and get the audience tuned into what they're doing, it's just like,
yeah, they make you feel it. Like you literally feel everything that they're saying.
yeah. Some artists that I didn't even like, particularly just listening to their album, but then for some reason I ended up seeing them live, and I was like, dang, they're good.
You got that confirmation, like, yes.
Yeah. So you were saying when you were introducing yourself, you're called B.ankha. Where did you come up with that name?
Well, actually, I started off as BXO. That's how I started off. But I kind of felt like it wasn't really me. Like, it's kind of corny and it wasn't really me. So I felt like I needed change, but I let it naturally happen. So after about like a year maybe of having that name is when I met my manager. And we kind of came up with the name together. Like he planted the seed of something like with an ankh. So it's like then we came up with the different spellings, and there's really three meanings to it. The first meaning is obviously the play off of my real name, which is B.ankha. It's just spelled differently. The second is ankh, which is it means the purest form of life, which is the first album that I put out ever, called Life, and we did that together. So I feel like it really, really meant a lot to me. And then Ankha means shy, beautiful girl. And I feel like that describes me in my performance sense. I'm always like the person that's in the corner somewhere at the showcase. You see me like I'm networking, I'm walking around, whatever. But when I get on stage, it's like, oh, that was that girl over there. Like she went crazy like that, like wow, wow, wow. So I really like that. I like that factor.
Yeah, I see that about you a lot. Like you're really kind of cool and laid back and chill. And then I've seen your live videos and you just like bring it. Cool.
Yeah, I'm like a social butterfly, but like I'm kind of shy at first. Like I gotta come out of it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
The we had the whole little awkward thing, like, oh, we're so good, and then we get in front of this, and it's like, what do I say? It's the same thing.
Yeah, it like works, but it doesn't in some way. Okay, so let me get a fan question. I have a couple, so I'll just jump around, do my own, and do theirs. I have a couple from DJ Hollywood. Shout out to him because he wanted to send some in. So, first one from him is if you weren't doing music, what else would you want to do?
I'd be doing. I'll probably be doing dancing, to be honest. Like I don't really dance much anymore, but I started as a dancer. Like when I was younger, I was in dance school. Like I did ballet, I did tap, I did jazz, I did African, I did contemporary. So it's like I had that in me already. I felt like I would have kept going if I wasn't reminded that I had a voice. My mom reminded me, like, let's not forget you can sing. And then you can show them, you're a triple threat later, whatever. But don't forget you can start with the singing, because then I feel like they'll really notice you. So I feel like if I was to fall back on anything, it'll probably be dancing, because I can't really see myself doing anything that's not in the field of art in some sort of way. So maybe if I didn't find dancing, I might have found something, but I feel like I'm a performer. So it has to be something in that category in order to make me happy, you know?
That's really cool. Cool. So you do incorporate dancing with your live show. I know that you said you had dancers and stuff. Do you do any kind of choreographer with them, or are they just kind of in the background?
Well, I do it with them as well. Like, as much as I can, because obviously it's harder than it looks. You have to be singing, breathing, and dancing at the same time.
Yeah, well, I know that a lot of singers use like the backing track, but it's cool. You want to do like the dancing and the singing at the same time.
Yeah, I actually, right before the pandemic started, I had a competition where it was my first time actually with my dancers live. And that's where I sang. Whenever I perform, I always sing live. The only thing I have on the backtrack is my hook and my ad libs. That's about it. Everything else I like to do live, because, like I said, that's my favorite part. So it's like I can't take away from that. But there might be some instances where, when I get bigger and stuff like that, and I'm really doing like I need a full out dance and really perform, maybe it'll be something like that. But I still feel like I'll stick in places where, okay, but I could breathe right here, so maybe I can sing that part. Like, it's just something I like to do. So
Yeah, and I really love and respect the artists that do it that way. I mean, I know it's okay to have kind of like a backing track, but if it's used for more of a filler or kind of a harmony rather than you're just kind of depending on it, I really respect artists who can pull that off.
the hooks being there give you the breather too.
Yeah, exactly. And it does give you a little bit of room to pause for a second and do like a really cool choreographer move or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's something to stand out.
Yeah, and then there's those artists that like coast the whole way with the backing track the whole time. Yo,
Yeah,
you could try a little bit
I feel like
harder.
it takes away from it. Yeah, exactly.
What's sad about that though is a lot of those artists are just so amazingly talented and they don't even need the backing track. I feel like they're doing themselves a little bit of a disservice by doing that because I think that they're extremely talented and they have great voices and they don't really need it. But I mean,
And it's like that's kind of like the whole point of you performing, you know?
yeah, being at a live show and yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like for that they could have just listened to the song, like you know.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times I was really disappointed at a concert. I was a little kid. It was like this country show. I don't even know, Kenny Chesney or something like that. Sorry to call you out, Kenny Chesney, but he had this backing track, or not even a backing track. It was the track of the CD the whole time, and he sounded exactly like on the CD. And he didn't do no dancing or nothing. Like he wasn't no Britney Spears. He had no reason to have that. And you know that he can sing, so there's really no reason. I don't know. Sorry to call you out, Kenny Chesney, but
Right, you just put it on the table right there for us.
I mean, listen, I don't care. I'm still small. I can still curse and I can still call people out, so it's fine.
That's the best part.
So I want to know about your recording process, your writing process. Do you write your own songs?
I write all my own music.
Dang, really? That's really.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain producer you like to work with?
Well, my manager actually is a producer as well. He actually produced majority of my first project. I think everything except for one song. He produces most of my music, but I also have other producers that I like to work with, like Blue Half, Beast on the Beat. There's a couple of other people that I work with. Like I honestly I go based off of energy. Like I have certain producers that I know I work with for certain things. Like I have my manager kind of gives me like the little funky sound. Like I feel like the little like out of the box sound. So I feel like when I want that, I'll go to him. I have another producer where he really brings the true like R&B out of me. Like every beat we come up with, you know, together. Like I come to him specifically when we're doing the R&B, and I come with a melody, and he just makes the beat right there based off of the melody, and I write the song right there with him making the beat together. So it's literally building a whole entire song together from start to finish. That I like because then he comes up with dope harmonies, and he knows my voice. So whoever I gravitate towards for whatever record I want, I feel like I have all of those at the moment. So
Right, and that's cool because you have that trust. You can kind of throw back ideas back and forth, and
exactly.
that's really cool. I like that.
I also work with another producer named Turbo, and he'll just send me stuff like I can definitely hear you on this. Like I feel like the producers just have to really pay attention because there's all types of people, you know, videographers, producers, all of them. There's the ones that just do it because that's their job, they're just doing it, and it's the ones that live to do it.
Right, exactly. You have those ones that are just kind of there to do a job and do it their way, and they have no interest in listening to you. And then there's the ones that really want to flesh you out as an artist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that's
just pay attention to that based off energy.
okay. On to another fan question. He says, okay, there's two in one. Beyonce or Rihanna, Usher or Chris Brown.
Really hard because I really love Beyonce and I really love Rihanna. And then I like Usher and I like Chris Brown. But I'm gonna have to go with Chris Brown for the second one. Definitely. It's hard. It's getting close. It's getting close. For the first one, that's so hard. But I'm gonna go with Beyonce. I feel like I have to. I feel like I feel like I have to.
It's hard. I get your struggle because she's literally the queen of everything, so it's hard to pick a like another artist over her.
Over her, yeah.
Yeah, like even though like you might like, I don't know, I might like a little bit of Rihanna's songs better, but it's
Better,
still hard
yeah.
to
That's why
say.
it's like it's literally like this.
Yeah. Do you ever do karaoke? I remember I tried to do a Chris Brown song karaoke one time, and I just chickened out last minute because I was like, there's no freaking way. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one with Busta Rhymes.
Oh, it's super fast, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'm gonna get up there and bust my ass and embarrass myself. So, eh.
Oh my God. Now
You
I've
like
done karaoke before, but I feel like even though I'm a singer, it's still kind of hard for me.
It's hard, right?
Like it's just I feel like it's the pressure of knowing like that it's karaoke. It's like a pressure on you, and then it's like, all right, you feel like you're so good until the song starts, and it's like, damn, I can't even turn back now.
And there's something about also when you're singing on the record with the artist, you're singing along, your voice sounds way better. And then you try to sing alone and you're like, what?
It's not the same. It's definitely
Probably
not the
not for
same.
you because you have a really good voice, but
No, but I understand. I still understand where you're coming from because, like, I honestly like to harmonize a lot over like rappers, especially like Drake. I harmonize over him a lot. So when I do it with him, it sounds so good. Like I love it. Oh my God, like this is the best harmony ever. But then when I do it by myself, it's not the same. Yeah, it sounds good because I'm a singer, but it's not the same as like you said, that sound of the speaker singing over the other artist.
yeah, I don't know. It's something it's something about it. Okay. Um, let me see. Oh, this is something I was gonna ask you anyway. How are you doing during quarantine from Syrup Music? I don't know, that's
I'm pretty Yeah, right. I'm I'm not really mad at what's going on. I mean, I hate what's going on and it's like so crazy to me, but like I've just tried, like I said before in the beginning, not to really let it get to me.
mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't let it stop the music. I couldn't let it really stop anything because it stopped outside. So it's like all I have is me and what I can do. So it's like it sucks because you gotta social distance. You can't really be around all of your family like you want to, people like you want to. You know, things are closed down. You can't go places. Like it sucks. It really, really, really sucks. But like I said before, I'm one of those people that I feel like I'm okay. Like it didn't break me.
That's good.
What about you though? Do you think it? You think what do you think about the whole pandemic?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. But I'm pretty much, the same as you. Like I'm pretty positive and generally a pretty positive person and look on the brighter side of things. So it's not gonna break me in any sense. But I will say that I am ready for it to kind of go back to normal. Like I want to go see some live shows and everything. And but one thing that is kind of sticking in my head is I'm wondering what is gonna be normal. Like I know that China, they wear masks like still to this day because of the SARS virus and everything like that. So I'm wondering, is that really going to be like the rest of our lives? And it's just kind of hard not to know where we go from here. So that's one thing that not really bothering me, but I definitely think about it.
Yeah, like is this what it's gonna be?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
I
kind of getting
definitely
to
have that.
me.
Yeah. And it's like no one has the answer, so we're
And
just
that's
waiting,
another
like
thing.
kind of for the inevitable.
I'm one of those people that I really like answers, so I kind of just try to rack my brain, trying to find answers that really just don't exist yet, and it kind of makes me like a little bit anxious.
Not knowing, like me too. I hate not knowing.
Yeah, and even if it's like a bad answer, I still want to know. Like, I just want to know, like, where we're gonna be in 6 months.
I want to know where we're gonna be in 6 months. I'm honestly ready to just find a new planet at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm over it.
Yeah, it's just everything. I mean, yeah, I know.
I'm like nothing could really cut out. It's literally everything, like everything.
Everything. 2020, man, I'm telling you. But there's a lot of positives that came out of it too. I mean, I feel like in a way, COVID was almost a catalyst for in a positive way, the Black Lives Matter movement because people were just so kind of pent up and in their house and kind of already angry, and then this happened and boom, man, now we have all this going on. So it kind of helped it, I think, in a good way.
I definitely agree with that because I feel like if it wasn't for this, people would just, turn the left cheek as they usually do. So it's like you said, they're inside, anger is bottling up, and now they have time to go outside and really like try to make change like they can. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. And like they said, it's been happening forever. It's just getting recorded now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And another weird thing that's going on that's kind of maybe different from the stuff that's happened in the past is I feel like white people are really showing up to the party this time, and I mean, for whatever reason. And it's weird to me because companies and certain people are almost acting like black people just came out.
Yeah.
But
Like they act like, oh my God, did you like are you supporting too? Because like this new thing that's going around, it's like it's a new thing.
Yeah, and it almost makes me wonder about certain people's intentions or why they're doing it. But what I will say about that, before I rag on people too much, is I think the best thing is that the message is still getting out there.
Yeah, I feel like unless it's like really negatively affecting it, then we shouldn't really like, put too much pressure on it.
As long as the message is getting out there, the good intentions are there. And I love that this is happening. Again, I mean, it's sad that when was the last protest? Like 25 years ago?
Yeah, about just about.
And obviously, unfortunately, nothing really changed.
Yeah. But I mean, I love to see it. I just really hope and pray that it does something. It should. It is the right thing to do. It should. It should. But knowing this world and everything that's going on, you never know. You just never know.
I know, and my soul is just tired from watching people fight, and it's so easy, or it may be naive, or maybe too easy to say, like, why can't we just love each other? And it is too easy, but I wish it was that easy. Like, it should be that easy.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's so good to hear that. Like I love when I have these conversations with people and like they get it.
Yeah, exactly. And it the same thing. It shouldn't be so hard to get, but for some reason, people just.
It shouldn't.
But that's what we were saying earlier. At the end of all this, I hope 2020 is kind of a catalyst for change and for better things to come. So I'm hoping.
That's where the whole everything happens for a reason comes into play.
Are you into like law of attraction or visualizing or anything like that?
No, actually, I haven't even read any. Every time I talk to people, they're always like, "Oh my God, have you read this? Because you sound like that book." And have you read this? Because you sound like that book. And I'm like, no, I've heard that and Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think it's called.
Okay, I haven't read that one.
Those two are that one and Law of Attraction are the two I always get. And I'm
Yeah, well, the reason I ask is because the last song on your album, it kind of goes into that, or it just reminded me of that. It's like, you keep believing in yourself, you keep believing, and then eventually you kind of get what you want and get what's coming to you. So I thought that's a really cool message. I don't know.
No, definitely. My manager always talks about that song, and he's always saying that's definitely gonna be like one for the books. Like that's like stadium type of thing.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So when you think about songs of the past that people have really connected with, a lot of them do have that message. They're kind of like anthemic, and they're kind of like, believe in yourself and stuff like that. So I totally get it. I agree.
I'm glad you like it because I feel like everyone that co-signs him always makes me feel better about the song. Because I was questionable. I'm always questionable. I'm like my biggest critic. So
Oh, yeah, I understand that. But no, it's amazing. I love that song.
thank you.
Okay, let's do another fan question. I try to like spread them out, like do my own and do these and I don't know. Oh, Rhett from Houston, hey Rhett, wants to know, do you play any instruments?
I actually do play the piano.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't play like I could read from like I could read a sheet of music, but I play like I can teach myself like off of a YouTube video, the chords, and then I can do it. Like I'll play songs and stuff like that, like other songs. Like I played like a Bruno Mars song, a Rihanna song. It's actually on my Instagram too. I sang and I played my keyboard at that time, but I think
Yeah, that's something that I've been trying to do in quarantine is I've been trying to learn a little bit more guitar. I've been trying to learn guitar for the last 20 years.
oh my God, I wanna learn how to play guitar so bad. So bad. I
So,
actually played flute in high school. I played the
oh, okay.
flute.
So you are kind of musical beyond singing and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's always something. Like it's so weird because I actually liked it. Like we had to do it. It was a class that we had to do because I was in a school for like music and stuff like that. But I actually like playing the flute. Like it was something that I enjoyed. I don't know if I would have followed through with it. I don't know, but
What was this in high school and in the band?
it was like a band class that we had to take like as freshmen.
Was that where you got started in music?
Well, actually, I started with the keyboard and stuff like that. I'd made a song. I wrote a song. I was probably like maybe 13, I think. I think I was like 13 when I first wrote that song. And after that, like my mom definitely, like I said, she pushed me like in that direction. But I would say in high school is when I first started singing in front of other people. Before, you could never, ever, ever, ever catch me singing in front of anybody. If I did, you literally had to there and my back was turned to you and I was singing the other way. Like I'm not even facing you singing. I can't look at your face, nothing like that.
Mm.
So in high school I sang for the talent show and I also was a part of a vocal group. It was called Varsity Voices and that's where I learned how to harmonize and stuff like that. Cause I was they had me in alto a little bit and sometimes soprano because my head voice I could go really high sometimes. So
So,
that was definitely what started me into like the performing live and stuff like that.
so how'd you discover that you could sing? Was it one of those things like they caught you one day and was like, oh, you should join this singing group or whatever it was?
Because I would like post videos on Facebook and stuff like that when I was in high school. And you know, like the school's kind of small and the teachers were like close with the students and stuff like that. So they knew, and I was really cool like with one teacher and like he knew I could sing like that. He actually started getting me like gigs in to open up like for comedy shows and stuff like that. And he was a part of the team where I met someone who introduced me to my manager. So it's just crazy how everything just like fell into place. But I would sing like here and there, but you know, I was scared. So I didn't really wanna, you know, I didn't really wanna perform in front of people. I wasn't really with it.
So you originally had some stage fright.
Yeah.
How'd you get over it?
I kind of guess I just grew up, I wanna say. Because I went to in 2013, I think it was. My mom took me and we did X Factor, audition for X Factor. And I actually got to the point right before you go to the celebrity judges and stuff like that.
Oh,
And that I thought was gonna be scary for me. My mom was super, super nervous for me, but like for some weird reason, like I don't know, I just took it so serious. And I was good, like I was able to do it. And after that I was performing in school all the time, like I was fine with it. Like I don't know, I just woke up one day on like an epiphany type of vibe and I just was like, I can sing in front of people, like F it, I just could do it. I wish I could tell you that I had like a talk with myself or something, but it just kind of happened.
So was that when you realized like this is what I want to do for a living?
Because I have like VHS tapes of me singing.
That's cool that you found your gift kind of early on. I know you mentioned your mom was the one who kind of pushed you towards that. Was she the one that was kind of pushing you towards that career?
Because she kept reminding me, remember I told you I was dancing a lot. So she kept kind of reminding me, like, you remember you sing, right? Don't
Yeah.
forget you sing, like every chance she had. And I'm like, Mom, I want to dance right now. I want to do this. I want to do that. But my mom, I definitely don't give her enough credit. She definitely pushed me a lot, a lot, a lot. And I was singing mostly like on social media platforms and stuff like that. And I would just have friends supporting me. Like the first time I went to the studio was with two of my friends. They just would always see my singing videos and they're like, I'm paying for a session for you. You're getting in the studio now. Thank me later.
That's amazing that you were so good that you just had people that were like, no, you're doing this.
And to this day, I always speak to those people, and I'm just like, I thank you so much. Like, thank you for real. because you pushed me to get in the studio, and I've loved it ever since that first day I went to the studio. I've loved it ever since.
So where are you from? Did you grow up in a smaller town?
Oh, I'm from the Bronx, New York, and I want to say I grew up in a small town. Like the Bronx, we always say it's a small world because everybody knows each other.
Right.
But it's to me, it's kind of big. You know, it's small, but it's big. You know, so I guess my environment kind of added to it because I have like this little spiciness and this little like aggressiveness. And every girl that you meet from the Bronx will definitely have that spiciness and that aggressiveness. So I feel like that definitely played a role in my music and in me just as a person and as a whole. So that I loved it. So
So that's cool. It kind of inspired, or where you're from kind of inspired you and your music. Did you have any artists that inspired you musically?
definitely would say probably mostly singing wise, Beyonce. But as far as writing, I'd probably say like Tink or Jasmine Sullivan, around those vibes as far as writing. Also like more so coming up and stuff like that. Kaylani, I've watched her since like um Tumblr days, and I've just the lyrics, the way they write, I've always loved that. So I definitely would say they inspire my writing. But singing wise, Beyonce, obviously, she was like a powerhouse. So if anybody wanted to, if you was a singer, you wanted to sing like Beyonce.
Okay, okay. Let's get another fan question. Oh, hey, here's a good one. How would you describe your sound to someone who is seeing you for the first time? From Zach in New York City.
Definitely say grown and soothing,
Grown
because
and
I feel like everyone, yeah, grown and soothing, because everyone always tells me that my voice doesn't really sound how they would expect me to sound. Like they always tell me that I sound older than I look. So that's why I say grown, and I say soothing because I feel like my songs are mostly like vibes. Like, it's for whatever mood or whatever vibe, So I feel like that's a soothing quality to me.
that's one thing I like about you is you can't really pigeonhole you or your music. You have a little bit of soul, you have a little bit of hip hop, you have a little bit of R&B.
Yeah, I even have a rap song.
Yeah, and so I love how you mix genres, and I love how it works for you because a lot of artists you'll see kind of trying to do that, and it just doesn't work, and it just sounds kind of messy and all over the place. But you pull it off so well, and I really respect that.
It's good to hear that everything I want to come out of this and for people to see, they actually see. So it really makes me feel good.
I mean, it's definitely working for me, and I noticed that you have a pretty strong following too.
But I was a part of like an independent label at one point, and that gave me a little bit more quote unquote clout.
And you're not with them anymore, right?
But we would take trips to Miami and things like that and do promotions and stuff. So it definitely helped.
That's cool. So, are you trying to get on another label, or are you trying to go more the independent route?
I'm just trying to stay independent. People just go their separate ways. So
I
that's kind
mean,
of just what happened.
and I mean, a lot of the time, that's the best thing artists can do is kind of go independent nowadays. And I'm not going to sit here and rag on labels, but they are pushing artists to go the more generic route. So if you want to do something different and be your own and have your own voice, you definitely have a better time of that going independent. So I really respect anybody who goes that route.
I don't even do artist development like they used to back in the day. Now they just want to eat off whatever platform you've built for yourself. And it's like they just make you into this generic version, just like you said.
Right, exactly. And it's really crazy because back in the day, artists would have 3, 4 albums out before they even broke because the label would, instead of just making, like, kind of picking off, like, I feel like people, they go on Instagram or they go to, you know, artists that are already having, like, big shows or whatever, and they're, like, cherry picking them and just expecting them to make them money, whereas before it was like artists could have whole careers ahead of them that the label just kind of predict it and really develop that career. So it is a much different world today.
It's complete. Exactly.
And I could go on and on about this. Like, I love talking about what the record label industry is doing to artists nowadays. Like, how many artists out there do you see with and I'm not ragging on them because it's not their fault, like a generic black and white video on YouTube with like a top 40 cover song that they just had to cover because their label told them to do it. It's just so funny. I could talk about it forever.
I hear you. Trust me, I hear you.
But yeah. But I don't want to get too into it because, like I said, I could go on forever. So we're gonna do another fan question. Let's see. Oh, Brandon wants to know, where do you see yourself, or where do you see your career in 10 years? Brandon, that is a long. 10 years is a long time.
10 years, wow. 10
That is
years
a long
from now.
time, but okay.
Yeah, that's a long time. Wow. I will hope. No, let me not even. I will hope by then I'd be
You're Beyonce by then.
a bigger platform. Yeah, right. Like 10 years. That's a long time. In 10 years, I'm hoping I got a Grammy by that point. 10 years from now, wow. Because then I'll be like about 13 years into it, 14 years at that time. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like 3-5 years.
Exactly.
Thanks though, Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon's got some high hopes for you, let me tell you. But let me tell you what, you definitely have the talent and the drive to make it 10 years in the future. So I'm gonna be there when you get your Grammy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, remember we spoke about this?
All right, Bianca, I'm gonna let you go. I think that's all I got for you. I have more, but I don't want to keep you. How long has it been?
It's been like an hour, I think. That though, that was a good conversation though.
Yeah, it's been like an hour. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to keep you too much longer and take too much of your time. But yeah, that's how I know it's been a good conversation and a good interview, is when it just flies by like that. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you since the beginning, featuring me and your stuff. And now I'm your second interview. Like, that's dope. Thank you.
And speaking of that, I wanted to say one more thing. After I did that, after I featured you, because I didn't really know. I had just started Women in Stereo, and actually DJ Hollywood had reached out to me, and he was really cool. Like, no prerogative of his own. He was just like, hey, here's some female artists to check out. You might want to feature them, whatever. And I did, and you were one of them. And then I watched your videos, and then I featured you. And I kind of took a step back after that and was like, you know what, I'm doing something really cool here. And
see, that's so dope though. That's so dope. Definitely continue. I think this is gonna be something really, really dope for you. And it's good because it's a female thing. Females doing it.
Yeah, thank you. That's kind of what I'm all about. Just kind of uplifting other women and girl power. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on and talking, and this was a cool conversation. I really appreciate it.
No problem. If you need anything else, you could just hit me up in the DM.
Yeah, and please continue to send me anything you got, any new music. I want to continue to support you and feature you. I'm a fan for life. I want to see you win that Grammy.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll definitely send it your way.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye, Bianca.
Well, thank you. Have a blessed day. Enjoy.